Everything revolves around inputs and outputs in terms of business. It's that simple, inputs and outputs. So when it comes to inputs, that's basically what are you doing day to day, hour by hour, second by second, right? What exactly are you doing? And here's the thing, you can be doing a variety of different things in your info product business. You can, and this goes for any sort of business, but you could be doing a variety of different things. One thing you could be doing is creating a website, right? One thing could be making a YouTube video just like this. One thing could be being on a sales call, making content. One thing could be thinking of your business name, creating a logo. It could be any one of these things that you do, right? But you have to remember, each one of those inputs is going to directly result in a specific output. Okay, for example, you create a piece of content and then you post that piece of content. That piece of content, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, whatever, LinkedIn, is going to be seen by a certain number of people, right? So that's a one-to-many sort of input, right? Because you making this video one time, obviously you're a slave to the algorithm and you're a slave to how big of a post it ends up getting, but you still are getting a one-to-many return on your investment, right? Because as soon as I post that piece of content, it's going to be seen by, a certain number of people on LinkedIn or YouTube or wherever, right? Just like I'm doing now. Another thing you can be doing is maybe thinking of your business name, right? Your business name, right? What does that result in exactly? It results in you having a business name, right? But I've seen so many people waste so much time doing that kind of stuff, right? Or it's just doing things that don't result in what I call high ROI inputs. High ROI inputs are basically things that you do that result in a greater return on your investment on your time, right? So here's the thing. When you're running a business, especially info product business, there are certain things that really, really move the needle and certain things that really don't, okay? One thing that really moves the needle is marketing. Marketing is one of the easiest ways to, not the easiest way, but one of the ways to sort of grow your business is marketing, right? Because what are you doing with marketing? You're letting your business be known to people who may not have already known about it. That's what marketing means. So letting your business be known, that's what I would call a very high ROI activity. So that involves you creating ads, you making content. Those are really the two main ways of marketing, right? Another thing you can be doing is sales, right? And that's you either doing a webinar or you being on a sales call, like a one-to-one sales call with someone and pitching them the idea on your product or whatever service that you're doing. That's a very high ROI activity because the direct result in that time that you put into that sales call is going to result in a potential sale, which brings money in, right? This is all, it sounds very rudimentary, but here's the thing. When you're running a business, especially in the info product space, our businesses, these kind of businesses you cannot sell, unfortunately, right? Because you're using your name, image, and likeness in this type of business model. And when you do that, there's a very low chance of your business ever being sellable. I know Alex Hormozi sold his gym launch. I know some other people who sold their coaching info product business. But the thing is, it's very hard to sell. And you should always be maximizing for profit, no matter what you do in this sort of business model. So once you maximize for profit, you understand that your main goal should always be sales and marketing, right? The next high ROI activity, which is very important as well, is the product, right? Making sure your product is actually worth buying. And if your product is bad and no one wants to buy it, and it's gonna suck, right? But you can even have a shitty product, but people will still buy it if your sales and marketing is good. I've seen this time and time again. The only problem with this is long term, the buyers are not gonna be happy and they're gonna ask for refunds or returns or whatever. So the idea is to even get to that point where you have angry buyers, you first have to have buyers, right? So the number one priority should always be sales and marketing in terms of your inputs, right? So now let's get into the nitty gritty of inputs, right? So here's the thing. your time is very, very limited, right? Maybe you're working a job, maybe you're in school. You have to make use of your time. So you should be only focusing on things that move the needle in that front. So in terms of marketing, there's many ways you can do it. There's paid and then there's unpaid marketing. For the paid marketing route, you can obviously do Facebook or Google Ads. Those are the two most common platforms, right? If you are going to go that route, that is going to cost money, right? But also a lot of money in testing. So making sure you're spending all your time on those inputs in terms of making sure you're recording the ads, making sure you have your funnels set up and everything, whether it's on Go High Level or ClickFunnels, making sure that's set up, and then having your content base set up as well. That is something that you should also be doing with your time, right? So here's the thing. You focusing on those specific inputs is going to result in money coming to your business, right? And the ultimate goal for business is for money to come in, right? Most people don't really get that, but you don't have a business if you have no customers, and you don't have a business if you're not getting any sales, okay? That's not a business. And I've been in this circle for so long where you start a business, you're so excited, but you're not getting any money through the door, right? Your number one goal in business is money in. So every activity, especially when you're starting a business, every single activity should be towards sales and marketing, which is the highest leverage inputs you can do that's going to result in money in. So when you're starting a business, those are the most important inputs, right? So you should be only focusing on sales and marketing in the beginning, nothing else, nothing else. Sales and marketing basically means creating the offer, having a place to market with, which is social media, running ads, or hiring like a setter, or you doing the setting where you either do outbound cold emails or DMs, or whatever you have to do. You should be spending all your time doing that so you can get leads. Once you get the leads, then you can actually do the sales, right? And at that point, you got to do the follow-up as well. That's a very high input. For an input, doing follow-up messages is very impactful of your time, because the money's always in the follow-up, guys. I made a lot of deals work just based off reaching back out to someone, just to follow up, and that can result in a deal, right? So that's what you should be doing. I made a lot of mistakes back then where I would spend all my time, tinkering with my website, making it look so nice, trying to make these videos so edited and so nice, doing things like, setting up your LLC, which all this stuff just does not result in money. Thinking of what software to use, which kind of laptop to get, what kind of color I should put here. All those things is a waste of time, complete waste of time. And you're going to hate yourself when you're not making money from your business. And you're going to be lying to yourself, and you're going to be wasting time. So, guys, if you are in business, focus on the most important task, which is sales and marketing. If you could take that one thing from me, please focus on the sales. That's all you have right now. Then you can focus on making the product as best as you can, because you don't have a business if you don't. So making sure you're focusing on the right inputs and outputs is going to put you ahead of 99.9% of all the other businesses, right? So go ahead and do that right now. Focus on a way, how am I going to acquire leads, and how am I going to get sales from those leads? That's it. And once you get the money, you reinvest everything back in the business. And that's going to change your life. So hopefully you guys enjoy this. I'm making some more videos, but peace.